Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us continue to bring you these difficult stories that should never be forgotten. This is the home of Chris and Shanann Watts. To neighbors, they looked like the picture-perfect family, smiling children, a happy wife, and a husband who seemed devoted. But behind these walls, a horrific crime was unfolding. A crime that would shock the world, expose chilling truths, and leave investigators piecing together one of the most disturbing family murders in modern history. It began on August 13, 2018. Shanann Watts returned home from a business trip at 1:48 in the morning. A friend, Nicole Atkinson, had dropped her off. By sunrise, Shanann stopped answering calls and missed a doctor's appointment. Concerned, Nicole reported her missing. Officers arrived at the Watts residence. Shanann was gone. Her daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, were missing as well. Chris Watts answered the door, calm, collected, and claiming he had no idea where his family had gone.
If somebody has them, please bring them back.
Hours later, Chris stood on his porch in front of news cameras, begging for their return. His words were rehearsed, his face strangely detached. His appeal to the public felt more like a performance than a plea. Detectives searched the home. Shanann's phone, purse, and medications, all left behind. There were no signs of forced entry. Something was wrong. Friends told police the couple's marriage had been strained. Shanann confided that Chris was acting distant, cold, and unusually detached from his daughters. What investigators didn't know yet was that Chris Watts was hiding a devastating secret. Investigators uncovered phone records that revealed Watts was having an affair with a co-worker, Nicole Kessinger. She told police she thought Watts was in the middle of a separation. She never suspected he was plotting something unthinkable. Kessinger later revealed that Watts spoke of starting a new life. Divorce, he said, was inevitable. But divorce wasn't enough for Chris Watts. He wanted freedom, and in his twisted mind, freedom meant erasing his family. Detectives built a timeline and followed the digital trail that would eventually point straight to him. Two days after the disappearance, Chris failed a polygraph test. Confronted with the results, he asked to speak to his father. In that room, his mask began to crack. He first claimed Shanann killed the children, and in a fit of rage, he killed her. But detectives didn't believe him. They pressed harder. Hours later, Chris Watts admitted the truth. He murdered his wife and daughters with his own hands. On that August morning, just after Shanann returned home, Chris confronted her. He strangled her as she begged for her life. Their daughters were just down the hall. Bella and Celeste witnessed their father carrying Shanann's body out to his truck. Then, in the most chilling detail of all, Chris strapped his daughters into his truck. With their mother's body lying on the floorboards, he drove them to an oil field owned by his employer, Anadarko Petroleum. Along the way, his daughters asked him questions. Bella, at just 4 years old, said softly, "Daddy, are you going to do the same thing to me that you did to Cece?" She knew. She understood. And still, he killed her. Chris buried Shanann in a shallow grave and forced his daughters' tiny bodies into separate oil tanks. His crime was methodical, calculated, and almost unfathomable. Phone records placed Chris at the site. His work truck's GPS confirmed his movements, and forensic analysis showed no one but Chris could have carried out the killings. Prosecutors charged him with 5 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of unlawful termination of pregnancy, and 3 counts of tampering with a deceased body. Chris Watts never went to trial. To avoid the death penalty, he agreed to plead guilty. On November 19, 2018, Chris Watts was sentenced to life in prison, 5 life sentences without parole, plus an additional 84 years. In that courtroom, justice was handed down, but no sentence could undo the horror. In the years since, new information has surfaced. Letters from Watts reveal disturbing details, fantasies of starting fresh, twisted justifications for his actions, and a haunting lack of remorse. He later admitted he tried to smother his daughters once before the murders, but stopped. Nicole Kessinger faced intense scrutiny. While she was not charged, many believe she played a role in motivating Watts. Yet the evidence shows the murders were Chris's decision, born out of obsession, deceit, and desperation. The Watts murders became one of the most discussed true crime cases in history. not just for the brutality, but for the betrayal of trust. Shanann devoted her life to her children and loved her husband. Bella and Cece were innocent little girls, full of joy. Their lives were stolen by the one person who was supposed to protect them. Today, Chris Watts remains in prison, forever branded as one of the most infamous family annihilators of our time. His crime stands as a chilling reminder. Sometimes evil hides behind the face of normalcy. If you or someone you know is in danger from domestic violence, there are resources to help. In the United States, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that must be told and never forgotten.